In this video series, we're going to focus on how we can create an overlapping bar chart here like this, where we can hover over it. We show here the data label nicely like that. And if I refresh, you can see here, it will have a nice animation as well. So let's start to look how we can create the overlapping donut chart. First of all, make sure we have here the boiler template, and you can find the boiler template here on chartjs3.com getting started. You can find this link as well in the description box. Once you're on here, scroll down and copy this chunk of code and you're good to go. Finally, if you want to get the source code of this video and many others, check out my Patreon page. So what we're going to do is, first of all, let's convert this into a donut chart. And we're going to say here, this will be a donut chart. Save that, refresh. There we are. Then what I want to do is I want to remove here the scales because we don't have any scales. And finally, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add up 3 data sets here. Every data set will only have one single value. So what I will do here is I'll just delete this and just copy this. Let's say here this will be A, and then we'll copy this, comma, and comma. Alright, so this will be C, and C will have a green color for the item here, or for the donut slice. And we'll say, well, this one will be 18. This will be the largest value. And this is very important. To do this structure, you need to have the highest value at the very last one and the lowest value at the very top. So I'm going to say here, this will be the blue color. And finally here, the red color that I'm removing. So what I'm going to say here, let's say this will be 9. And this will be 15. And that will be 18. So we have A, B, and C. If I save this, refresh, we have like a multi-pie or multi-donut level or multi-level donut. So what I want to do then with that one, we can just fine-tune it a little bit. Let's remove this here. You see this border width? Just to make it a bit more shorter in code, I'm going to remove all of these. But I will put it in here. In the options, we just have it here and apply it on every data set we have. Save, refresh. There we are. So that looks quite nice. So what we want to do, of course, here next is to make sure we have the rotation properly. And what I mean by the rotation properly is the biggest slice will have the full rotation and the smaller slice will have whatever the rotation would be. Well, let's say we have a 75% rotation. So what we're going to do here is we're going to work with the circumference here. So I'm going to say comma. I can say circumference, and the circumference here, we're going to say CTX, or sorry, before I even do that, let's do here 270. If I save this, what will happen is it will start to define the rotation here. However, this is all nice, but I don't want to do it like that. And the reason for this is I want to make sure I want to apply all of these here, depending on the value, but the value must be based on the highest value we'll get the full circle, and the lowest value will have a relative circle based on that, or the amount of degree of, or the angles of turning. Anyway, to do that, what we're going to do here is a callback functionality. So we can say here, because this circumference option is scriptable. So we can say here a callback functionality, and in here I'm going to say console log, and then we're going to say here CTX. Let's see what we get. If I save this, refresh. Right now it doesn't show anything. Don't worry about that because we don't return a value. So what we can find here is a few data points here. We have here background, and we see here the data. So what I want to do is I want to grab this data here. So what I can say here, this will be a data set dot data. If I save that, refresh, here it will show value number 9, which is correct because that is number 9 of this one, not on any other. So then what I want to do here is to say return, and we can grab here the data set here, or well, we have the data set or the circumference. Well, what we need to do here is create a formula. So what I want to do here is we have whatever the data set is, divide this by the highest value. In this case, it is 18 multiplied by 270. Save that. refresh, and as you can see here now, it becomes more relative to whatever the value is. This is nice, but you can say here, hold on, why do we have this hard-coded? I don't want this hard-coded, and that is correct. So well, let's soft-code this. To soft-code this, I need to give this a value, and I'll just give this the value of max. But I don't know what max is yet. So what I'm going to do here is a nice trick. I'm going to say here let value, and I'm going to say here max at the very top, and this is what we call hoisting. Hoisting is basically like putting a value at the very top without defining it, and afterwards we're going to define it, and then it still is allowed to push everywhere else. So that's what we're doing here. So what I want to do here is I want to get every value of this and then get the very highest value from that. So to do that, I'm going to say here constant data points with an S, and then I'm going to use here the map array method. I'm going to say ctx.chart.data.datasets. And what we're really doing here is from the ctx, we are allowed to use the chart object to go basically to the top level of it here, because we're right now in this area, but I'm basically saying now by saying .chart, we're going back to the chart area here somewhere or here. This gives us a top level, then we can move again specifically into the data and data sets. That's what we're doing here. So we say first go one level up, and then we go to the specific items where I want to be, because I want to go to every data set, or I want to see every data set here. So then I'm going to say here the map, I'm going to say here, this will be the data, well, this could be the data set. And this data set here will also have the index. And then we're going to say here, function error expression. So by doing this, if I do now a console log, you should see here, we are able to see every data point of each data set. So 9, 15, 18. Alright. So now what I can do here is just create here, I'll just say here, return this data set value. Data set, hold on, let's make sure we get the right value here. The data, am I correct? Yes, you should be correct, data. And then we're going to say the data index 0. Why? Because there's only a single data point here, length of 1. Once we did this, we should have now a new data points array. We save that, refresh. As you can see here, now we've created our array, and let's extract the number 18. So what I'm going to do here is constant, let's say, oh no, we don't have to do constant max, but we're going to say here max will be equal to math.max. And what this really does is this is the mathematics functionality of JavaScript. And then we're going to get here the max, which basically say get the highest value of an array. But to do this, I will say that this is a REST operator to indicate that this is an array, or else you will get a wrong answer because it cannot read. It needs to read an array specifically like this, or else it expects as a specific number. So we're going to do this. Then if I do a console log, you should see here now number 18. So to save that, refresh, number 18, there you are, it understands this. So now we have this. You might say, well, do we need to apply this formula to every one of them? The answer is no. Remember what I said, we have hoisting here, so it will now communicate to all the other places. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to just copy this. We're going to delete all the excess codes afterwards. Put it all in here. This can be deleted. This can be deleted. And we have it like that. A nice clean piece of code. And that is nicely soft coded and dynamic. There we are. So if I change this again here, I'll say this will be 20. We should see here now an adjustment here. We can just see it probably better if I say this will be 50. There we are. And now first part is done.